Hey, what's up, knitters? I'm Jana with Purl Together, and this week we're going to talk about what you do when you drag out a WIP that you haven't seen in a long time and you're really not sure where you are in the pattern. Okay, as many of you know, we are working on the Frog It or Finish It challenge the rest of February and most of March. We're going to be doing that, where you need to gather up all your WIPs and then work on them in a rotation using the Gideon method. I'll put the link down below for that. But for this video, I want to show you what you do to find your way in a pattern if you can't remember where you're at. Like I have this sweater I'm working on. A lot of you have seen it already. It's for my mother, and it's kind of complicated. And there's a lace section here, and if you kind of lose track of where you're at, I'm not sure what row I'm on, and it's a 16 row repeat. So I'm going to show you my technique for kind of sorting that out, sleuthing out where you are in the pattern if you're not sure, can't remember. Before we do that though, I want to give a giant thank you to 3 of my new patrons. These people are pledging a small amount every month to support me and support the channel and keep these videos coming to you each and every week. So if you're curious about what being a patron is all about, go check it out over at patreon.com/Purl Together. So a big thank you to Debra Stonebraker, Bonnie Hall, and Pat Neff. Thanks so much for your ongoing support. Okay, as many of you know, I've been working on this project off and on for over a year. And so it goes through periods of time where I have to set it aside because there's other things I need to do, and then I go and pick it up again, and then I have to always figure out where I'm at. So if you can learn to read your knitting, you'll be much better off. Now I can tell, I know that these cables were crossed over, a left crossover every 10 rows. So I can see where that happened here, and then I can simply count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I've just done a cross. You can see that's a crossover point there. So that's the crossover, and then I've knitted 2 rows, I believe, after, maybe 3 rows, counting the one on the needle after I've done that. But the biggest problem I have here is this 16 row repeat right here. I need to determine where I'm at there. Now this pattern comes from Vogue Knitting from the spring and summer of 1994. So this was just the yarn that I had. This is brown sheep cotton fleece. I have 8 skeins at 215 yards a piece. But the thing is, I'm not going to show you the whole pattern because it's copyrighted, but I'll give you an idea of what the problem is here. Okay, this pattern is not charted, so what I have to work with here for that whole thing is rows 1, 3, 5, and 7 are one stitch sequence. Rows 2, 4, 6, and 8 are another. Rows 9, 11, 13, and 15, and so forth. You get the idea. So I need to determine what row did I just complete, potentially. If I didn't write it on my sticky paper, which clearly I did not, I'm actually hoping that the row is designated on the ring counter that I am using for this project. But for the purposes of this video, I'll show you what I would do. Okay. If you can't tell by looking at it, you can simply tink back and then write down the stitches that you undo. If you're not able to read your knitting, now if you can read your knitting from the front side here and not have to tink back, then that's okay. But I know that as I'm knitting across the sweater and after I've done this cable twist, what comes next in the pattern is going to be a purl 2. Then here I have a knit 1. Now this I believe is knit 1. Okay, so that would be purl 2, knit 2. That's a yarn over. And then after that is a knit 2 together because it's leaning to the right. Knit 1, yarn over. So I need to be writing this down so that I can look back on and see what matches up here. Okay, so I'm going to tink back to that lace section so I can try to figure out where I'm at. Now I've already taken out the first 8 stitches after that cable cross, then this was just 5 purls, so that's easy enough. Now I know by looking at it that this is a slip slip knit, but if you didn't already know that and you needed to tink that back and take it out, you would just go in underneath here. You'd want to be careful not to split any of your stitches and go ahead and take that out, and you can tell that was a decrease over the course of 2 stitches. Now see, I've kind of split that, so I'm gonna have to correct it. There we go. And you know that those were twisted, so it must be a slip slip knit because those were twisted. So we're going to put them back on correctly even though we're going to probably re-knit this and twist them again and do the same thing. However, you want everything to be oriented properly until you determine what's going on here. And again, you can tell that that's leaning to the left. The stitch is laying on the top, leaning left. Now I'm going to go in underneath here and I'm going to take that loop out and take that back. Okay, and again, those, you can tell that those are twisted stitches. They're open to the right rather than opened to the left, as normally your stitch would be mounted like that, right? Then we know we're going to take out one purl. We're taking out another purl. So we're taking out those 5 purls in between. And then we're going to go and tink back across this cable. Let me get to this lace portion and I'll show you how we're going to read this, write it down, and then go back to the pattern and determine where we are. All right, I've tinked back from across the cable section. So now I can clearly tell I'm going to take out 2 purl stitches. So we're going to write that down, purl 2, because that's what our line or the line or the row of the chart would have been, is that purl 2. Okay. So I'm going to write it over here on the right because we're going to be working backwards, correct? So I'm going to put purl 2 right there. So I'm going to go ahead and tink those 2 back because I know I can plainly see that that's what that is. Okay, now it looks to me like we have a knit. There's a knit. And there's 2 stitches there together. So let's go ahead and hang on a second and let's write down this knit 1 that I just took out, okay? Now there's 2 stitches here, so I think that was a knit. Yep, that's a knit 2 together. So I'm going to put in my needle and take out that knit 2 together. All right, and then that's a yarn over. Okay, so we had a knit 2 together and a yarn over. Okay, then we've got a knit and a knit 2 together. So let's write those down before we forget. We have a knit and a knit 2 together. Put commas between. And then we have another knit and a knit and a yarn over. So we had knit 2 and a yarn over. So you can see what I'm doing, and the reason I'm writing it backwards is because I want to match it up going this way as it would be read from my pattern, and it will be easier to match up if I just write it down backwards to start with. Hopefully that makes sense. Now I'm taking out another knit and another knit 2 together with a yarn over. So I'm taking out a knit, I took out a knit 2 tog and a yarn over. Okay, now I can also tell here that I have 2 knit stitches, 1, 2, 2 knits, and it looks like 2 purls, and then I'm back to this other cable section. And I'm going to take what I have here over to the pattern, and I'm going to try to match up which row that was. Okay, as super messy as that was, it does match up, you'll notice, with this section here, rows 9, 11, 13, and 15. So purl 2 together, knit 2, yarn over, knit 2 together, knit 1, yarn over, knit 2 together, knit 1, yarn over, and so forth. It does match up, so I know that I'm got either rows 9, 11, 13, and 15. And from there, I can probably figure it out. At least I know that I've narrowed it down that far. I can probably figure out where I'm at in the sequence in conjunction with, the other things that are going on here. So hopefully that helps you be able to see that you can tink back, and just by reading your knitting, you hopefully can figure out where you're at in one of those hibernating whips. Okay, I hope you found that technique helpful in determining where you are so you can get busy finishing up those projects. All right, show me what you've got over in the Ravelry group and the Facebook group. So I hope to see you over there. Give it a thumbs up if you thought the video was helpful, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.